Welcome back to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker. She's the host of the program, and this is the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate with Barb Schlinker, the owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Barb, if someone is thinking of buying a house right now, what do today's home buyers want in a home, and why is Generation Y, the millennials, such an important part of all of this?
Well, I have to give a shout out to an article I found under the Rocket Mortgage website written by Sydney Richardson, who looked like from her picture, looked like she was probably a millennial. And I didn't agree with everything, but some of it was very valid. And it's something to consider, especially if you're thinking of selling a home. How do you prepare your home to make it attractive to all the buyer population? So, who are these millennials? Basically, they're the children of the boomers, born between 1980 and 1998. Most of them are of age where they can start families right now. And, this was one thing I did not agree with Sydney on, which was she's claiming that there were economic differences. Like most of the boomers started adulthood with a booming economy. And I know for me, that was not true because I think I was an adult in the 70s. And at that time, the interest rates were 17%, ridiculous amount. So that was when Jimmy Carter was president. I'm dating myself, but doesn't matter. She may not know, but that's fine. But yeah, they did kind of enter adulthood right after what they call the Great Recession, which I don't think it was a Great Recession. It was a government inflicted series of mistakes that caused it, basically. But what the millennials have had challenges with in their adulthood lifetime would be finding jobs, earning a living wage to make housing more affordable. And the one kind of kicker is a lot of them are kind of strapped with huge student loan debt, and so it's a little tougher to qualify for a home if you've got student loan debt because they do factor in whatever payments you have to make on that student loan debt. And generally, when you get qualified for a home, one of the factors to get a loan is what they call debt to income ratio. So generally, a buyer can have up to 40%, 38 to 40% of their gross monthly income can be in the form of debt, and that includes house payment. So if you tack on 500, 1,000, I don't even know how much student loan debt is anymore, it could wipe you out from being able to qualify for a house. Another important factor about Generation Y, the millennials, is they're called digital natives. So is this true, Richard? I mean, your kids are probably that age, right? Where they grew up with technology and we struggle with it, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I can't tell you if I had a dollar for every time I had to ask them how to do this or fix this on the computer or put this app on my phone, I'd be a rich person.
Yeah, it's so easy for them. And we had to like adapt. So as a result of that, they appreciate things like energy efficient systems. I've noticed some people putting in programmable garage door openers that they could control from their cell phone and programmable thermostats that make their energy more efficient. And the other thing they like is low maintenance yards. Like if a yard has a lot of grass that you got to water, they don't like waste. In fact, I know just from my own office and having millennial employees, they don't like it when I print paper one-sided. Did you know that, Richard?
I have a daughter who nails me every time I do that, and especially says, "You don't even need to print it, Dad, much less on one side." And I just say, "Timber."
Yeah. And that's the thing is, I say, well, I'm presenting these papers to people. I don't want to flip the page over. It gets too confusing. So, it's just one of those things they don't like waste. And I think that's admirable, actually. But when the rates were down to 3%, which is just a few years ago, buying a home was actually cheaper than paying rent. Now that the rates are in the sixes and likely to stay in the sixes for 2024, I think the buyers are starting to get used to it. They're also starting to kind of plan on it, right? So they're saving money in order so they can have a big enough down payment so they can actually afford to make the payments on the house. And that's a great thing. Even if they're staying with their parents and saving money to buy a home, I have no issue with that. I think that's fine. And generally, they're looking for smaller homes. So what we saw back in the 90s were people were really in the 2000s, people were really into the big, massive houses, McMansions, and the more square footage, the better. But they kind of like smaller homes now. So it's kind of interesting to me. And they really like quality versus quantity. So they like a nice quality home. They want to be in a good community, which I think any home buyer wants. And this was kind of a surprise to me that she put this in the article, claiming that the generation Y buyers will stay in the homes for only 10 years versus they think the boomers stay in for 20. But actually, back, before the recession and even a little bit after that, we saw people moving in and out of homes probably every 5 to 7 years. So I don't know that 20 years of staying home is common. It might be more for boomers. They're going to stay until it's time to go, but I'm not convinced that was correct data. And you do see a lot of people turn over homes quicker than what you would think. And what do they want in homes? First of all, they don't want to renovate. If they have a home that has a lot of deferred maintenance, I think a lot of home sellers think it's okay to put their house on the market that needs a lot of work. And then to say, well, why can't we just give a credit? Let the buyer pick their own carpet colors or whatever. But the buyers can't see past that. Plus, they don't have the excess cash to fix up, and it's inconvenient. So I think they prefer not to have to renovate. They want neutral paints. They don't want dramatic paints. They want open floor plans, that kind of stuff. So that's sort of what they're looking for right now in a home. And so if you are thinking of selling, that's something that you should take into consideration to try and make your home as move-in ready as possible, because it's more likely it's going to sell faster in that scenario. My name is Barb Schlinker. I am the host of Your Real Estate Voice and the broker owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Barb has the buyer's team. And we're talking about what millennials want in a home. And next up, we're going to talk about what you can do to make your home more attractive to the largest buyer population of our time. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice. That's Barb Schlinker. She is your real estate voice, host of the program, as well as the owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. And you can always reach her at 719-301-3900. And if you're in your car and you can't listen to the entire program, always catch it on Barb's YouTube channel, or go to Barb Has the Buyers, find it there. And you can also find it on all the popular podcast platforms. Barb, we're discussing what the millennial generation wants in their home. So what can home sellers do to attract more of those buyers to their home?
Well, Richard, number one is declutter. That's free, and it probably won't cost you anything but your time. And so, how do you know if your home is decluttered? It's kind of funny when I include staging services with our full service listings, and we'll have a designer come in and take a look at you, how you live in your home, and she will give you tips room by room by room on what to do, what not to do, in order to make your home photo ready. Okay. And a lot of times the feedback that we get from home sellers after they've followed her instructions, they'll say stuff like, well, it just seems like nobody lives here. It's very austere. You don't have a lot of personalization. It's okay maybe to have one or two pictures of family up. There's nothing wrong with that. However, some people will cover a whole entire wall with their life story. And the objective when you take pictures of a home and put your home on the market is to help the buyer visualize themselves living in the home, especially with the millennial generation, because they actually like a more kind of austere look, not too much clutter. They don't like the lived in look. They like open floor plans, not too much stuff around, neat and tidy. In fact, We have a millennial son, and he tells us when I try to give him stuff, he goes, "I don't want too much stuff." Do your kids say that, Richard? I don't want stuff.
Every single time. I mean, my son especially, he doesn't want clutter. He wants to be able to find his stuff right away, be ready to go. And it's interesting to hear the same thing coming from you in the studies.
Yeah, because I mean that's they just don't they're kind of not, I wouldn't say minimalist, but I would say just neat and tidy, not too overwhelming. They do everything on their cell phones, everything. They don't, many of them don't use a laptop or a computer unless they absolutely have to. And just so you know, they do a majority of their searching online on their phones. So I like computers, I like iPads, I like all the devices. The bigger screen, the better. I'm happy with that. But most of the millennial generation get everything done, all of their banking, all of everything on their phone. So as far as searching for homes, that factors in as well. Don't lose the buyer before you put your home on the market. Make sure the pictures are great, because we know that 90%, 93%, according to statistics, of people start their search online. And actually, I think the number is bigger than that. I have clients right now that are the seasoned citizen generation that are also looking online, and they are filtering out homes that they don't want to see based on the online presentation. That's why that step is so critical. Um, and, if an agent is too lazy and they take their smartphone and take pictures, or they don't update when something has changed about the house, or one of my pet peeves is I'll see listings in the summertime of pictures of homes with snow on the ground. Okay, well, it's not snowing in July, so why didn't they update the photos? It just doesn't look right. And you really don't know how many people looking at homes online are eliminating it from their must-see list. You just don't know what those stats are. So having good internet presence is important. Millennials also like a nice space for a home office. It doesn't necessarily have to be a dedicated home office. It could be a bedroom that has a desk that looks comfortable. Most of them don't use a typical phone line, they use their cell phone. So having good phone and good internet reception is also very, very important, because they do a lot of streaming, a lot of that kind of stuff. They also like energy efficiency, energy efficient windows, energy efficient thermostats, water saving landscaping, solar, metal roofs, all those kind of things are important to them. So you want to make sure you highlight that when you do present your home to the market. And outdoor spaces are very important as well, because 37 million of the millennials have pets, right? So they want a yard for their four-legged family member. And that's part of what we do. We will help you get your house ready for sale. We'll give you tips on what to do, what not to do to get your house ready for sale. We'll show you our list of buyers just on our little website that would be a high match for your home, and give you a good idea what your home will sell for and how much you'll put in your pocket. So if you are thinking of moving, give us a call at 719-301-3900, or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
Or Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. She is the host. And if you're thinking of making a move, call Barb 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll be discussing the top 10 trends that are actually dating your home. Stay tuned for that.